Colts at Bills. We'll just be running down the games listed on sportsbookreview.com odds page. Colts, Bills. Bills open as minus 2-point favorites and then quickly shifts to the Colts at minus 2.5. This total opens up at 35. It's still 35 at some books, but it's gone down to 34.5. And I guess this is how you can attack preseason football. Last year, the Colts came in. They had Frank Reich. They needed to there are a lot of doubters, and he needed to prove people wrong, and he wanted to get that winning culture into the locker room immediately. And they went 4-0 against the spread and 1-3 towards the over-under, 3 unders. Then you have Sean McDermott, 3-5 against the spread, 3-5 to the over-unders. I'm high on both these teams, and I'm not sure if I'm quite as high on the Colts as Whale Capper is. I was high, but people have poked holes in the Colts a little bit. But I just see Paris Campbell as an enormous weapon for Andrew Luck. Take the pressure off of T.Y. Hilton. You have Eric Ebron. You have Funchess coming over. You have Marlon Mack. Then you have Darius Leonard, Malik Hooker, and Justin Houston joins. And then the Bills have hope. The Bills have hope, and I'm on their over 6.5 win total. Let's start with you, Donnie Rightside. Here we go. Colts at Bills.
Yeah, both needles looking up for both of these teams. We went over it a couple times on the Audible previous here in the summer, but we're going to look at just at this ball game. What are you going to like about this? Because the one little alarming thing, because, in the offseason, you're only worried about injuries here. And this is one of the things for Andrew Luck. This didn't just creep up. This has been a lingering injury in his calf, which tends to be a little bit nerve-wracking because we know, look, he's not a runner. He's not Cam Newton out there. He's not going to be Lamar Jackson. But just moving around the pocket, we saw how much that calf injury really did damage to Aaron Rodgers when he was plagued with it. Now you're going to have a guy that we really anticipate stepping up this year and having a really good football season, and they got a downshift on him. Missed a little bit of time, which when you look at these games individually and you try to think maybe outside the box, you probably figure Josh Allen's probably going to get a couple snaps. He needs some snaps in this ball game. But, you can laugh and say, well, Matt Barkley stinks. He's not really an NFL player. I understand that, but he's going to get the bulk of the time he's used to being in the NFL and maybe just be able to run the offense well enough, because when you look at the Colts coming into this game, we know Andrew Luck's not going to play in this football game. And you say, well, what about Jacoby Brissett? He's a really good NFL quarterback and a great backup. But are you going to throw him out there to play a lot of snaps with backup players? You're probably going to sit him out as well. So if we're looking down the depth chart, Phillip Walker's and Chad Kelly's in here. If I'm looking at this game right here, probably lean towards a little bit of the Buffalo Bills, but heading into the season, just get Andrew Luck right. Don't put him out there in these preseason games. Get him right, because if he's healthy, that's going to be a pretty good football team. But just overall looking at it, maybe leaning towards a little bit of the Bills here, just because of the quarterback situation here, Jimmy.
Leaning towards the Bills, and then we have to take into account these market moves in preseason. But speaking of this Colts team, I would like to have a conference and Super Bowl ticket in my pocket if Andrew Luck is feeling good and ready to go. Whale Capper, here we go. Colts at Bills, week 1 preseason, and a 4.5-point move towards the Colts.
Yeah, moving across zero is a little, some of those points aren't worth a whole heck of a lot. So it's tough to say how influential this move is. I don't necessarily agree with it either. I do think I agree with Donnie's breakdown that I would lean the Bills in this game. I think the stronger look, though, is the under. The Bills have been dealing with injuries in their own, right in the first line, first team. I think they're going to be relatively cautious here. I think this is reps for your backups. You want to get a look at some of the players deeper down your depth chart. The Bills, and the Colts both have relatively deep rosters, especially on defense. So I think it's going to be tough to make the final cut if you're a second or third tier defensive player, which means you're going to get 150% out of those guys. Everyone's going to be trying to show up. Everyone's going to be trying to make plays. This is a good under spot for both of these teams. And, I'm high as I've been on the Colts in a long time. And I'm very nervous about what's going on with Andrew Luck's calf. I really don't want to see him turn into a fragile player in this league where we're constantly kind of looking over our shoulder, reading, newspaper tidbits on, his current status, his current health. But it does feel like that's where we're going to be for the month of August, and it doesn't feel great having quite a lot at this point invested into the Colts winning the AFC South and their win total over. So it's going to be a nervous month checking reports from Colts camp for me.
Yeah, I can imagine that being the case. And the Bills at over 6.5 is one of my two futures that I have.